Hey Cubs fans, this episode is brought to you by J&K Beef Jerky, true American flavor. If you're looking for a legit go-to snack, this is it. J&K Beef Jerky is made from real cuts of beef and brisket, thick cut, full of bold flavor and actually satisfying. None of that thin, dry stuff. This is real, meaty jerky. They've got a variety of flavors too, from classic to sweet, spicy, and smoky. Head over to jkjerky.com and use code CLUB120 at checkout for a discount. That's jkjerky.com, code CLUB120.
Welcome to Club 120, the ultimate roundtable for diehard Cubs fans and lovers of all things sports and lifestyle.
Strike three, you're out.
Hosted by Neil and Nate, two former baseball players and coaches turned loud mouths with strong opinions and even stronger banner. Get ready for quick-hitting, time-answer segments packed with wit, laughs, and the occasional heated debate. From analyzing Cubs on-field action to diving into off-field drama, no topic is off limits. So grab your glove, pour a drink, and pull up a seat at Club 120, where the banner's quick, the takes are hot, and the Cubs always come first. Let's get started.
Play ball.
Hello, Cubs friends. It's 120. You know what that means. Grab an old style and a bleacher seat. You're in Club 120. Let's talk Cubs. I'm Nathan. With me, as always, is a man who knows you can't win the division in March, but you can absolutely overreact. Neil, what's on today's lineup card, Coach?
Oh yeah, I mean we wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for overreactions. I mean, am I right? I mean, well, that's what we're here for. We're here to provide every single overreaction every step of the way. But hey, as always, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. Thanks for following along. However it is you take in Club 120, we could not do it without you. And some big things, man. Big things going on this week. As you probably heard in the lead-in, we've got a couple new sponsors that are along for the ride. So we are pumped about that. You'll hear more about one of those later. But, man, we've got a big show. Art of the Deal, Bregs, PCA, Nico, all good deals, bad deals. What are they? Then we'll jump into topic 2, which is the ABS ego check. Who will ABS change more, the umpires or the players? Then we'll get into Stix and Swords and a friendly little competition. And you might be surprised at some of those results so far. And then topic 4, this lineup is what – would you rather face one MVP candidate or 9 hitters with an .800 OPS? And then finally, our topic of the week, 3 truths from this week, 1 real, 1 emerging, and 1 concerning. That's enough for me, man. Art of the Deal, Bregs, PCA, Nico, are they all good deals? Was this offseason bold or just necessary?
Oh, hey, wow. That's a good question. Bold or necessary? Yeah, we'll break down the deals here maybe in a little bit, but I think that to answer that question right off the bat, Neil, can it be both? Bold and necessary?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. I mean, I tell you what, for the sake of this argument, I'll take bold. And here's why. It's not in Tom's DNA. None of this was in Tom's DNA at all, right? One deal for Dansby, and that's all we've seen in 4 years in this window or thought process of where we've been for the last, since COVID or the last strike, if you will. It's bold because that's a lot of money. That's a lot of commitment. One's to a 32-year-old. One's to a kid who had a MVP like first half and was gone for the second half. And then one's for a guy that's just exceedingly underrated because he just doesn't hit the ball out of the park. So can you name names here? Like, did the Cubs win any of these deals? Did the players win any of these deals? How would you break those down?
I think that's a great question. I think the Cubs won every single deal. And that may be what would, they say that you shouldn't be a GM for a team that you love because you would make terrible decisions. And I think that's the case with me for sure. Because I think in my mind, we've been pushing for the Nico extension, and I think we got Nico at just what he's worth. I think PCA, I think we got for a bargain. And Bregman is where he's at with the market. Now, obviously, we filmed this on Wednesday, so we just won the series with the Angels. I believe, I'm not positive on this. You might have to fact. I believe, are we at 3 errors at the third base spot?
Oh boy. All right. So overreaction 1, you're ready to make a move at third base, huh?
I'm not ready to make a move. I'm just saying make a freaking play. Like,
It's cold, man. I don't know if he had this many games under freezing in Boston last year. So, and then from Houston before, look, it's going to be a little bit of a shock. And you and I texted this in the middle of this game. It makes no sense why we can't figure out how all 13 good weather ballparks or domes are not being used in the first 2 weeks of a season. Why do we play 9 in a row and then head to Cleveland, or 6 in a row and then head to Cleveland? Like, we just came from 85 to 100-degree Phoenix. Why is Major League Baseball struggling with this scenario here? And I'm not saying that's why he's struggling at third, but it does suck to play baseball in the cold.
no, I wouldn't argue that. It's just, I don't know. I think we won every deal. I think if there's one deal in my mind that I'm not even going to say we overpaid for Bregman. I mean, like, if we get what he's advertised at, it's a win-win. If we get, and that may be stuff that doesn't result in, 30 home runs and, whatever. It may result in clubhouse demeanor and posture and that sort of thing that is 100% as necessary as any of the other stuff. So, the PCA deal, the Nico deal, I think the Cubs came out very well on both of those deals. The Bregman obviously is to be determined, but as where I sit right now, I think they were all great deals. So as the roster evolves, so is the game itself. Let's move on to the ABS ego check. Who will the ABS change more? Is this going to change the umpires? Is this going to change the way the players play the game? What are your initial thoughts a week into Major League Baseball here with the ABS?
Well, there's been no shortage of entertainment. I think it's a little different. Every called third strike now has to have a deep breath with it, right? You're not banging guys out just, without somebody tapping, it seems like, every couple of innings on a really momentous, if you will, third strike call. So I tell you, I got one question for you, because I think this will frame the entire conversation. What's the one thing as a manager and a player that you cannot argue?
Balls and strikes.
But now we can.
What's that?
But now we can.
Well, I mean, you're not really arguing.
Well, I mean, you're challenging the call. One pitcher, or I'm sorry, catcher. I guess there's 2 pitchers that tried it this week, and they both failed miserably. Like, they're going to put those in their pocket, right? It's catcher and hitter, and those 2 guys plus the umpire. That's the fabric of the game. So I don't think we can lean on this as ABS is going to take umpires out. I really don't. That's a discussion for, I think, down the road here. I think in this current climate that we're in, umpires, I think what it did is it didn't change the strike zone. I think it just changed who owns the game. Because you couldn't bark out of the dugout before without bunny ears and eyeballs going your way as far as who's arguing balls and strikes. You can't argue it as a hitter. You can't just, as a catcher, you can't turn around and you got to have this friendly conversation. You and I have both managed and played. It's a game within the game, how you relate with umpires, right? But there was one thing there was one line that was always there, and you couldn't cross it. And now you can, just a couple times a game. And that's really only on egregious stuff. So I don't think it's changing. I think what it is, Neil, is umpires are not losing their authority, even though they feel like they are. What they've lost is their immunity. And that's important.
No, I like it. I like it so far. I like that, the bad umpires are the ones that are getting overturned 7 times in a game. Like, I love that. And I think exactly right. You're exactly right. What they're losing is their immunity. And I think that's good for the game. The other thing that's I can't wait. This is sort of on topic, but sort of off topic. I can't wait to see how we address the issue with the pitch clock when, now you can't step into a batter's box now without the full armor of God on, right? Like, you have you have the shin guards, you have the toe guards, you have the elbow pads, you have the freaking things are wrapping around their hands. Like, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that goes on. And I saw one today. I try to watch I literally, when it's baseball season, when the Cubs game goes off, I'm watching another game. I try to keep it in the Central, but if there's not a Central game on, then I'll have to venture out and watch somebody else. But I haven't seen it yet, and maybe it has happened, and it's just a game that I wasn't watching. I haven't seen where a guy takes ball 4, and it happened tonight, but he was right, so he got to stay on first. But where a guy takes ball 4, takes off every ounce of armor he's got on, which takes a few seconds in its own. Like, he's unbuckling all this stuff, taking it all off, lays it all there. For the guy, which is a whole nother topic. The guy picking it up is not, you're still going to throw it on the floor. Like, come on, asshat, just hand it to him. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. So he gets completely undressed, runs to first base while it's being challenged. What happens if that's overturned? Do we give this guy the full 3 minutes that it takes to put all this crap back on?
I think it's kind of like a foul ball when you got to run one out and it's a down the line call where he's rounding first and going to second. They don't start that until the new ball's put back in play. So the umpire, I think, holds it until the batter is more appropriately aligned with home plate. I think you've seen that several times this week where umpires are doing the whole double tap their chest like it's on me, and there's been something kind of wonky going on, and they'll take the 10 seconds themselves, and then they'll wind their little finger and then start the clock again. But yeah, you're right. It's quite a show. Don't forget the helmet piece for the chin guard, and look, the challenge system is only checking egos right now. Batters, catchers, and umpires as well, as far as what their thought is and the interpretation of their strike zone, right? And we used to have to do this manually as hitters. So the initial question was, is it fixing baseball, taking something away? No, it's just making you adjust in game. And it's holding the other guy who you didn't know the rules, what his strike zone was, it's holding him accountable as far as that's concerned. So it's just a standard. That's it. Everybody else that's whining about it or thinks it's taking something away from the game is forgetting that the fabric of the game was those arguments, and it's just taking away some arbitrary because I told you so. And that's just not good enough anymore with as good of players as we have right now and as good as they are at the game. You got to have some accountability on all sides, including from the management of the game.
No, I totally agree. I like it. I like the accountability of it. And I think it's, I think it's good for the game. Like, I know the purists out there, and I'm one of them. I'm a big baseball purist, but I freaking love it. I am so glad it's here. And I cannot wait. I cannot wait to see how Seiya Suzuki benefits, because he is consistently the worst umpired player in the game. And
here's the only concern with him is that he's so polite that I know he gets exasperated, but the first of all, Japanese culture is very polite and endearing from that perspective. They would rather bow in respect to your decision, even though they think it's wrong, than to challenge that. And so I do have a concern whether he's going to tap his helmet or not in all this. He might be happy about it, but at the same point, is it in his DNA to challenge immediately and quick enough today to get that right?
Yeah, no, I get it. Okay, so speaking of things that we're tracking closely, you challenged me a couple weeks ago to version 2 of Stix versus Swords.
Club 120, Stix versus Swords.
Stix vs. Swords is brought to you by Ungambled. What if you could make money from sports betting without actually gambling? Ungambled teaches you how to use sportsbook bonuses and a proven arbitrage strategy to generate real, predictable profit. We're talking $10,000 to $15,000 in just a couple months. No guessing, no luck, just math. Visit ungambled.com/club 120 to learn more.
Stix versus Swords, man. It was a select group of 5 pitchers versus a select group of 5 hitters. You got smoked and you decided that you wanted to change the rules of the game. That's how real winners do it.
Wow. Okay. Hold on.
Um,
Got smoked because Justin Steele went out in the third start of the year. So
And-
we were already reeling off of a limited 5 starters. You lost no hitters all year. So it was already an uphill battle. We were trying to plug Ray in. We were trying to plug Ben Brown in. So you know what? We simplified it this year, Neil. I went back to the drawing board and I thought very simply, what's the easiest way to play this game and make it worthwhile? How about every hit and every strikeout matters? It's the simplest way to root for the whole team. Root for the home team. Like, let's go. So how did we do after the first 2 series? Neil, what do we got?
Oh man, Stix are getting 44-61, and this is, I believe, this is before Wednesday.
No, this is updated. I actually just threw this live after today's game, and you picked up quite a number of hits. However, Matthew Boyd went ahead and matched all the Cubs hits today by himself.
Yeah, so here's the problem. This is a tough game because you want both to do well as a Cubs fan. This is a hard game to play as a Cubs fan because I really want Matthew Boyd to strike out 10 batters. I really want the Cubs to have 10 hits a game. So it's hard to root for one versus the other. I'll be happy either way, as long as the Cubs are winning baseball games.
Right.
But man, I got to be honest. We got some catching up to do, man. The Swords are flat stacking up.
Well, you guys left about, 83 runners on base in the last 3 days, I feel like. And I look, there's plenty of days where the wind is going to be blowing out. So we'll stack our cold weather Ks early and often as much as possible, because now we're going to Cleveland. It's going to be cold there too. These bats don't really heat up until late April anyway. So yeah, we'll take a good early lead here and just stack it up, because we know the boys are going to hit, right? The numbers are always going to shake out, like Jed says, right?
Yeah, no, 100%. I only hope we can close the gap. I still hope we strike out guys. I just hope we out hit the pitchers. And I'm okay. We're not behind 150 games or 150 runs yet or hits. So maybe if we just outpace them by 1 per game, let's just get 10 hits a game and 9 strikeouts, or maybe even let's get overzealous and let's go 14 hits and 13 strikeouts.
This guy, you're already giving the offense a pep talk. Okay, here we go.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, it's a great contest. It's fun. It keeps you engaged the whole time. I mean, not that you and I have problems staying engaged in a Cubs game, but if you're a casual fan, you and I, sidebar, we got into another pool this year called the 13-run pool, and you get a random team each week, and if that team hits 13 runs, the first freaking day of the contest was Monday, and the freaking Nationals who knew the Nationals were the best team in baseball? Jeez, win the series against the Cubs and go following day and put up 13 runs.
I don't know if it's sustainable, but they look really good getting off the bus, don't they?
Yeah, bunch of donkeys.
Jeez. I guess that's what happens when everybody in your clubhouse is a first-round pick, right? I mean, they've basically traded, 3 or 4 guys for 17 guys, and this is the result of everybody else's farm system showing up in one place.
Yeah. Okay. Well, and that leads right into how this offense actually looks. This lineup is fill in the blank.
I'll go first.
Okay.
Punty, but lacks fear factor.
Okay, so then you've answered the question you posed was, would you rather face an MVP candidate or 9 hitters with an 800 OPS?
Mm-hmm.
You're saying
hard.
9 hitters with
Man, we can dissect how to build a lineup all day long, right? I mean, look, we've spent years of our life doing that as coaches together and separately as other teams and all that. Would I rather have a bunch of dudes that just get hits? Sure, but man, 3 times a game knowing that dude's coming up and the other team knows it too is a real fear factor. And anybody that you listen to the Barry Bonds clips 20 years ago, 15 years ago, you listen to Greg Maddux talk about it. You look at what happens when Aaron Judge comes to the plate. You can talk about his postseason performance all you want, but having that dude in the lineup, when Shohei comes up, the world stops. There is something about having that 3 times a game. Is this Cubs lineup balanced enough for you to overcome the lack of a fear factor?
Yeah, it is for me because I don't think there's an easy out. Like I think, correct me if I'm wrong. I think other than yesterday, I don't think we've had a starter go maybe the first game of the National Series where the starter went maybe he went 5 or 6.
Cade went into the 7th, 6 in the 3rd.
I'm not talking about our starters. I'm talking about the opponent.
Yeah.
Because I think that this lineup is a mental grind.
Okay.
I watched today. It might have been his first at bat. Which I'll be honest with you, I've not been impressed with him at the plate thus far, is Matt Shaw. His first at bat, he kept swinging at high fastballs that were out of the zone, but he kept fouling them off. So it's hard to get at. You can't get that angry when he's not striking out. But I think probably had an 8-9 pitch at bat before he gets a single right up the middle. And it's like, if that's your 9-hole hitter that's grinding at bats like that, I tell you that to me, there's only one guy so far. There's one guy in our lineup in our dugout that strikes zero fear into anybody, and I don't think he would strike fear into, the local coach pitch. And that's Conforto.
Look, if he takes one more fastball right down the chute, somebody's got to talk to him about that.
Look, you've had 6. I get it. You've only had 6 big league at bats, but you've struck out 5 of them.
He has 6,000 MLB at bats. What are we talking about?
Okay.
Get your barrel out. Act like a veteran that's coming off the bench, dude. What? We don't have time to watch you do this crap. You're not here to work a count. You get 3 strikes. Down, barrel out, be on time. God, that wears me out when you got Kevin Alcantara, who we know can't hit a slider, but my God, if he had a fastball like that, holy crap.
Alcantara had I was at the bats, the I Cubs and the Louisville Bats last night. Obviously, that's like 10 miles from me. So went and Kevin. First off, Kevin is no longer the center fielder for the I Cubs. He is the right fielder. Foreshadowing. But he had a great night at the plate. So you and I have talked about this. Might be a good sidebar conversation when we talk about this lineup. You and I have talked about is Kevin getting a fair shake from the top of the organization? And when I look at I fully expected him to be the center fielder. And then I look at you don't get the minor league lineup card like you do the big league guys. So you have to wait till you get there pretty much. And you see them put the lineup up and I'm like, he's in right field. And I'm like, oh man, he's getting demoted. And I'm like, oh, or is he getting demoted? Is he getting promoted?
Right.
Because we're looking for a right fielder. So that's interesting to me to see him out there because I think every time I've ever seen the I Cubs, he's been in center field, probably even since we went back and saw him 2 years ago in South Bend. Or that wasn't South Bend. It was the Tennessee, right? Knoxville.
He played there 2 of the 3 games I saw, I think, in him and Bateman shared time in center in Phoenix, in Mesa. So I think it's probably strategy as far as how many looks can we get him on those angles. Make sure he understands, being in center, you got to be a 2-way guy, right? You got to break 2 ways. Right field, not so much, especially in Wrigley with that wall in right. It's a lot harder to play that foul territory because there is none, right? So that it really is just a 1-way break, and you've got PCA to cover your gap that way. I mean, look, if he can ever figure out how to hit a slider, it makes a ton of sense because he's athletic. He brings us more speed, and he's just that lightning bolt of a player, a lot like PCA, just taller and lankier. One question about this lineup before we move on, Neil, because you said, hey, look, I like the way this lineup is constructed. So as far as 800 OPS guys and that, is this offense dangerous or just busy?
I mean, that's a question. Like, I think it's busy, but I also think, death by 1,000 cuts, right? Like, I mean, we look at today, put up 5 runs in 1 inning, and probably didn't hit the ball over 98 exit velo, right? Like,
yeah, I think the 3 outs were the hardest hit balls.
Right. Like, I mean, we're just hitting, and I think that's how this lineup is built. Like, hit it where they ain't. Like, that's baseball 101, right? Like, so I think I don't know. I don't know if maybe I'm involving as a Cubs fan, because like for the first time in my life, I wasn't mad last night when PCA with 2 strikes tried to lay the bunt down.
It was an awkward moment, but that was a nasty lefty on the mound. Yeah, I looked at it, I was like, what the? And then I was like, you know what? I've thrown my bat at several pitches in my life. Like,
but you know what? He's already got 2 hits doing that.
Yeah.
And if they're going to shift, why not punch it down there? Like,
that one up the first baseline was a filthy play by the pitcher, because that was a hit. That was a 99.9% hit, except for the scoop of his glove. So he should have 3 bunt hits, really. And we can talk about Pete's toolbox all day long. I think we should probably put that on another segment. But at what point are you mad at Pete for doing anything right now? Like, if Pete does anything in his toolbox, are you going to question it?
Oh, I think last year. I mean, I loved Pete just as much last year, but I think there came a point when it was like he kept trying to lay down a bunt, and it was like, sir, just swing the gosh darn bat. Like, what are we doing? Like, and I think it was one of those things where it was a maturity thing for him. He was going through it, and he was just looking for ways to get on base. And it was like, dude, you can't even bunt one in play right now. Like, you might as well try to get a barrel through one. Like, but right, I wasn't mad at it. I loved it. He did it twice against the Nationals, where they were, the third baseman's basically playing shortstop, and he just punches a little bunt right down the third base line and says, keep shifting. I'll keep taking first.
Right. Well, it's probably going to be the best way for him to steal 50 bags this year, honestly, because you can't steal first, but he's got to figure out how to get there another 15 to 20 times this year.
Yeah. Okay. So let's move on to the topic of the week. 3 truths from our first full week in baseball. 1 real, 1 emerging, and 1 concerning. What do you got?
Ooh, okay. All right. 3 truths from this week. 1 real. Cold weather, spring baseball sucks. 1 emerging truth. Cade Horton and Edward Cabrera are a legit 1-2 combination. And something very concerning for me is the Cubs' ability to hit with runners in scoring position. What about you, Neil?
So something that's real for me is I don't know what it is. I feel like these guys, and look, maybe I should swap these 2 to emerging twins. Something real to me is the consistency of the lineup. Okay, so I'm just going to say I'm going to swap these 2 because, like, you and I were ready to pile it on Ian Happ, and I'll be honest with you, I'm taking partial credit, because I think all we have to do is get on here and shit talk Ian Happ a little bit, and then he hits 3 home runs in 3 games. So I'm going to keep piling it on him, but he's given me, like, if we see that every week out of Ian Happ, there will be 0 complaints coming from me. So I think the consistency's there. The emerging trend, I'm going to say, I think these guys and their expectations, I think they're managing them very well. I think there was a lot of pressure on opening day. We talked about that last week about I wasn't going to be surprised if they came out and laid an egg, and they pretty much came out and laid an egg. But man, what a tough day to play the game. Like, they arrived at the park, had this blue carpet deal. People are out in shorts and T-shirts at 11 a.m. And by 2 o'clock, it's freaking freezing. And like, I don't watch Chicago weather even when I'm in Chicago. I just look at the high for the day. Well, the high for the day I had no idea happened at 8 a.m. And like it was freaking freezing. So, these guys come to the park, they get out of their car and walk into the building and are like, "This is a great day to play baseball." They come out, throw around or take BP, and they're like, "Holy crap, who turned on the AC?" But they lost the series to a team that they probably shouldn't have lost the series to, but I see zero concern. It's early. They know it's early. They feel it's early. And I still think that in their minds, there is zero motion towards that panic button. And they know it's early and they know there's 150 of these things left and that they're going to win the Central. And then one concerning for me has been the concern for the last 3 freaking years is this freaking bullpen, dude. Like, I just don't trust it. I just don't. There's nobody coming out of that pen except for Danny P. That makes me think, okay. And that's another thing. Can we get to a spot where we use him consistently?
That's the downside of naming a closer, right? Instead of going bullpen by committee, he could have come in the 7th inning the other day and shut it down after Cade, or there's 3 or 4 different opportunities where Danny could have been better executed or utilized, but it's still electric when we'll get there. And Neil, you're right. We have 155, 56 of these left. We're going to see plenty of the light show, and we're going to have plenty of easy, clear paths to a 3-run, 4-run game with Danny P and the light show coming. So I'm not terribly worried about that. You're not wrong about the new toys in the bullpen are a little concerning. I'll say this though, let's pump the brakes on too much overreaction for new guys, because we haven't seen them in a ton of action yet. So let's let them get used to. Look at Ben from the first day to the second bullpen outing, right? Like, let's give these guys 2 to 3 outings over this first month to see what Hunter Harvey really is worth. Let's hope Phil Matone can start throwing it through the Fox box. That's the one that concerns me the most. The rest of these guys, I think, have been relatively okie dokie, but we were struggling in certain games before they got in there for the most part, besides Phil Maton's 0-2 record.
Yeah, no, I think, the bullpen, it's just it's the leadoff walks for me. It's the, you take a guy out in a tough situation. Was it Hobie that came in yesterday and looked really good, shut down a bases loaded inning?
Yep.
And then we didn't go back to him. We went to Phil.
Right.
Then walked the lead off, and it's like, come on, guys. Like, I've seen this movie before.
Right.
And then
with Caleb wasn't used, right? Caleb went today. So Hobie only threw 1/3 of an inning. It wasn't like he couldn't go back out there. You already had another lefty set up for today's action as far as your specialist is concerned. It was a little concerning there, and seemed like we really like Phil. Apparently Craig really likes Phil. And Phil throws some really nasty stuff. The problem is if it doesn't go through the zone, it's going to get real ugly real quick if everybody's on him as far as the scouting report that says he just doesn't throw strikes. That's a bad thing, right? Like, I'm always 2-0. It's always 2-0. I'm hunting a fastball now from Phil, and he's got to throw it through the box.
Yeah. I think and today Boyd was flawless, and he gets not necessarily in a jam. I mean, he's throwing to I can't remember who they let off with, but then he's got to dance around Mike Trout. He gives up a walk. Now he's first and second with 2 outs, and we bring in another bullpen. Harvey was great. Don't get me wrong, but a couple soft contact, a play that probably should have been made up the middle, and then the Bregman error, like, should have been. They should have got 2 runs. Like, they should have got 2 runs. So
it's a lot of fun being 500. I mean, I think the name of this game is hanging around this long enough until we figure out what we've got, right? Until Craig figures out what other guys should be coming out of the pen. Until we get through a couple of times through the lineups where we get righties and lefties, and then who's shaking out where they're supposed to be. It's a fun team. We're in a better place. Did you know this? We're in a better place today than we were last year after the series.
No, I did not.
No, we were 2-4, brother.
All right. Well, I'll take it. I'll take it now. Let's just. I know the Reds lost today. I don't know about the Brewers. Do they play later tonight, or have they already played?
I have not looked at the scoreboard.
Let's just. Let me just do a live check right here while we got you.
Get the central standings out, folks.
Oh yeah, of course they. Oh, wouldn't you know it? They dropped 6 runs in the 8th to come back and win. I love that for them.
Pancakes just in time.
Yeah. Jeez. 5-1, the freaking Brewers. Unbelievable. All right. Well, here's to maybe turning things around and hoping the Brewers start sucking soon.
This is wild. Okay, here we go, folks, and we're back at the Brewers. I mean, what is in the water up there? What are we doing? Is it?
I don't know.
To talk about. I think we're going to put a pin in this one because Central Talk needs to be opened up next week. We've got a lot to unpack with the Reds. They did a lot of good moves this offseason that I really enjoyed watching them actually do baseball business. Under that budget, that was fun, and obviously there's plenty to talk about with the Brewers and giving us as much as to do. So let's unpack the Central here next week once we see everybody shaking after 10 or 15 games.
Sounds good. That's all we got. I don't know if we went over. I can't see the time. So anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for hanging out with us on a Thursday, an off day Thursday. That's all for us. Be sure to like, subscribe, follow, comment. All that stuff helps. So help us out. Go Cubs, go.
Go Cubs, go.
This has been Club 120. Neil and Nate have practically spent their entire lives doing something centered around baseball. And with these guys, you're going to get quick-hitting, time-answer segments packed with wit, laughs, and, yes, heated debates. We hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, make sure to like, rate, and review. We'll be back soon. But in the meantime, you can find us on all social media platforms at Club 120 Show. And, of course, the website at www.club120show.com. Until next time, go Cubs, go!
This podcast was produced and recorded by Vocal Media Solutions. Unauthorized reproduction or redistribution without written consent is strictly prohibited. Interested in launching your own show? Visit vocalmediasolutions.com to get started.